Are we live? Let me see. Hello, okay. Hey everybody. Hopefully you can hear me well. So, like how I did with my last poses stream, we're going to do this video as if I'm just talking to the people who are going to watch this after the fact, and then I'm going to start paying more attention to chat after a little bit, just so that, when they click on it, they don't have to hear me saying hello for 10 minutes and random stuff like that. So the point of this video is, if you guys haven't already checked out my last video, you should check it out. It's called, well, at least the cover title says to skip art school, but it's called how to learn or how to draw anatomy. And the point is that I showed you guys 9 different levels of how to improve your anatomy. Just trying to make sure you guys can hear me. But yeah, how to improve your anatomy, all that. And there's some things I missed in that video that you guys reminded me in the comments that I wanted to go over. But I also had some typed up stuff here. If you guys want to screenshot that, you can. It's the details. But I have a lot of stuff here that I wanted to reiterate, and then some tips on how to actually get through those levels faster than however many years I said it takes, because it does take a while, but there's a lot of things you can do that are kind of shortcuts. It all depends on you and what you want to do and your style. So yeah, let's go ahead and start with the first thing that I wanted to talk about, and that's what is it? I'm doing this because I can barely hear myself with these headphones. Yes, okay, so there are some things on that list that I talked about that you do want to do throughout your entire process, not just when you get to the level. So one of them was imagination drawing, or drawing from imagination. You definitely want to do that throughout your entire process so that you can have an idea of where you're at, because when you draw something from imagination and you look back on it, it's the best way to see how much you've grown, because it's just you with nothing, barely any inspiration other than what's in your head, right? You also want to do gesture drawing all the time. That's always good to brush up on your gesture. You want to check accuracy from a reference. Sometimes you just want to brush up and see how well you can observe something and what details you can actually capture from it. And then you also, checking the reference, but actually overlaying it as well. And thanks so much for the 3-month sub, Baconspiracy, appreciate it. And then the next thing is going to be to look at other artists. So I'm going to put this at level 4 to 5, because that's where you're going to start looking at how to create shapes and take those shapes and draw those instead of just copying the anatomy. So basic 3D shapes to for example, something really simple. Maybe I can show you guys something that I did here in this one. Where's the sketch at? The sketch will be the best example of it. Let's see. Oh, okay, that stuff is fine. That's not. I have to be careful. I mix and match all of the artwork that I do. Some of it's not safe for work. Where's the shape here? So see how I had this cube here and the knee? That really helps me, because drawing knees could be really tricky sometimes, because there's a side to it. There's a left side and a right side to it, and a top and a bottom. And there's this complex knee anatomy for there's this turtle shell abstraction that I got, that I remember learning from the Anatomy for Sculptors book. But for me, just drawing a cube there really helps, and so that's something that helps me out. Also, just making the arms these diamond shapes helps a lot, because if you look, it's just a diamond shape instead of 2 tubes. That's something I've gotten from other artists, and so look at other artists to see how they describe more complex anatomy into something that's more basic. That's going to really help you a lot, and you should start doing that really heavily at levels 4 and 5. But again, I think that would be a good idea to look at throughout your entire art career. Look at how other people take something complex and simplify it, and if it's something that you like, take it. That's what I do. It's super, super helpful. If you want some ideas on how to do that, my poses live stream, it's, I think, one of my highest viewed live streams right now. It just says poses in the cover with some other figures in the background. Check that one out, because I show you how to do that with other people's artwork, to actually look at it and pay attention and study it. And I also just recommend checking out Ethan Becker. He's really good at going through other artists and telling you their secrets, so that you can really understand it well. And the last thing before I get into the kind of cheats and ways to look at this whole process without getting so stressed out about, you know, the time and how long it takes, is there's kind of a prerequisite to all of this, and that's perspective. Anatomy is really important to learn, because no matter if you're drawing humans or animals, you got to learn it to be able to do really good stuff. Like, for example, I'm studying a lot of J.W. Cooper's stuff right now. She's an amazing artist. She draws animals really well. But you need to be able to, you know, understand, you know, the actual anatomy of animals before you can really start to draw them in all these really cool ways. And you can tell that she knows. But even before that, you need to know perspective, because that's what makes everything feel like it's real and it's in a place. Because even if you're not doing something realistic, you want to feel like it's real, right? If you shine a light on something, even if it's a really cool stylized character, you want it to feel like it's believable, like the people can believe your character is there. So perspective really, really helps with that. It's really hard to draw something like this. You know, this is all heavily based on perspective. And it's actually like, I'm not sure this whole leg in combination with everything else, how we're looking up at her, is correct. It's kind of like this weird perspective where the top of her head is going away from us, and so is the bottom of her foot, but the somewhere in the middle of her body is coming closer, so it's like kind of fisheye. I still need to work on that, but even then, at least I was able to really understand that, okay, this upper part is farther away. The rib cage can be broken down. I need to get a better like layer so I can actually draw over what I'm talking about. Let me do this really quick. This is good. So like, yeah, I drew the rib cage like this to start out with, because it's like, that's perspective. I'm looking at the bottom of the rib cage, right? I'm gonna place it there, right? This is how I set things up normally, right? So that is important to learn before all this anatomy. You don't have to be perfect at it, but remember, it's like neck and neck with anatomy. The better your perspective is, the easier it is going to be to do your anatomy, and the better it's going to look. Like, so good. Just remember that those two things are really tight together. Like, you know, simple as her legs, keeping in track, like, okay, what am I looking at from below? Where's the front of her leg, like here, and how is that connecting? Like, I try to keep where these lines would connect in my mind as I'm doing like the basic drawing for this. This was really hard, trying to figure out, okay, where do I want the pelvis to be tilting, right? Even though we're looking at her from below like this, where do I want the ilia crest to show up here? And how is that gonna go down into her crotch area? Like, all that stuff is really, really closely tied to perspective knowledge, not just anatomy. Okay, so now we're going into the tips, the tricks, the things that are gonna make it easier. First thing is that list is really just a gradient. It's not like, okay, level 1, 2, it's like it is, but you don't check it off. It's not a checklist. So if I were to hide this and I draw like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's not like, all right, I did this, time to move on to the next one. It's not like that. It's more like this. This is how it's gonna look when you improve, right? Jeez, I should have planned this out more. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So it's not like, all right, eventually you're gonna be able to check this list. It starts like this. Like, it starts getting defined as a gradient, and it gets more and more, I'm trying to switch to my blend tool here. It gets more and more like that. And eventually it's slowly going to fill up. Let me get another brush here. And eventually it's slowly going to be full, and it's not even like that. It's going to be like certain areas will kind of like fill in earlier, right? And eventually it will fill up more and more. So like for Kim Jung-gi, for example, it's, oh Lord, this brush is too much for my computer. Kim Jung-gi is like, all of this is black. And then it's like, it starts to be a gradient. So like that's how Kim Jung-gi's anatomy knowledge looks, right? And somewhere in there is like drawing like really animated characters like Elsa and stuff. He's not as good at. If you look at his stream on how there's a stream where he challenges people to give him an idea of to tell him to draw things they don't think he'll be able to draw, and you'll see his ability to draw like a chimpanzee driving a tank through like a military battlefield isn't as good. I mean, that is really good, but he can't draw a random anime girl as good as he can draw that crazy scenario, right? He can't draw a tank crossed with a arachnid. You know, he can draw that, but he can't draw an anime girl as well as he can draw those crazy things and people from all kinds of perspectives. So there are little places in here where he's like, not as much, not as good. But then for us, it's like reverse, where it's like mostly white, but it's like I can draw like I think I'm pretty good at drawing lips, for example. So yeah, that's just some random way to look at it, but it's really helpful because it makes you realize it's not supposed to be this really boring, monotonous thing where you just check it off. And then another thing to help you out with is also, for me, I consider myself between levels 5 and 6, because in that video I'm doing exercises really a lot from both of these, but some of the more intense exercises from level 6 I'm not doing. Like I'm not doing mirrored drawings right now. That's really hard to do, but I'm just kind of more exploring. I'm like taking a scenic route and doing a lot of level 7 and 8 stuff, like the imaginative stuff right now, because I've never done it at all during this time, which is bad because you do want to do some of everything as you're growing. Just focus on the things that I talk about in each one of these levels, right? So the next thing is the way to skip and the way to get faster and to go through that chart faster. And one of the easiest things you can do that I do is to basically split it into a few different categories. So for example, anatomy, there's basically, I see it in 3 ways. There's people, there's animals, and then there's objects. So you can learn anatomy of human beings, you can learn anatomy of animals, you know, insects, all the different phylum, kingdom, whatever. Yeah, you can learn anatomy for that stuff, and then you can learn how basic man-made stuff works, like architecture, robotics, all that kind of stuff. You can learn about it, and the more you learn, the more creative you'll be able to be. And even within, you can go another step down. Let's say you just want to draw people. You can cut it to men and women. So for me, as you can see, I mostly draw women, and that allows me to skip and kind of grow a little bit faster. A lot of people say that, you know, oh yeah, drawing men and the masculine anatomy will help your understanding of women and vice versa. And that's true. That's true. But at the end of the day, if you want to get good at something, you have to do that thing, right? So it's just, it will take me a little bit longer to get as good and as fluid as I am, quite a bit longer with men right now. If I draw a guy, it will look extremely stiff and rigid. It will not look like the drawings I'm doing currently with women. And it will take me quite a while to get to that level of women where I'm at now. So that's a way you can kind of skip through things. If you want to, you can be like, all right, I'm only going to draw men or women and focus on which spectrum of the anatomy, the anatomy, anatomical differences, you know, wider hips, the pelvic tilt angles, the opening for the pelvis, the rib cage angles, the jawbone, a lot of the anatomy is in the face and the head, all those different things, the bone density, the muscles and all that. You can focus on one of those and that can help you go a little bit faster, and then you can save time. Another thing you can do though is you can just avoid challenging poses. And so with that, I'm gonna bring up some artists and we're gonna talk about some different artists here. I think this is what I want to show you guys. And for some reason, okay, there we go. Is this right? Yeah. So, there are some different artists. And by the way, when I said like this is the video I'm talking about, this is what I meant. This first one, how to draw anatomy, beginner to expert, just go to my videos page and you can find it. But yeah, you can skip poses and not memorize like not learn super tough poses, you know. That's really going to help you a lot because there's a lot of really good artists out there that just memorize poses, and eventually that's all they really have to draw. So like, for example, my favorite example for this is Art Germ. Let me make sure I'm on track here. Yeah, so you don't have to do these really crazy challenging poses like Kim Jung-gi does, for example. So let me actually pull him up really quick. Please don't be something bad. Please, 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 please. All right, that's not terrible. I love Phil stuff. Why is it always something lewd that comes up on my IG when I'm live or something? Kim Jung-gi. Where is his, like, is this his main thing? That's not him. Why is it? Why don't, like, people's original things come up? There are hella scammers out there. I can't remember what's his, like, handle. Does anybody remember his handle? Like, it should come up. He has tons of followers. Super Annie. I think it's because I'm on my desktop. Yeah, this is weird. It's bringing up some random stuff. This wouldn't happen on my phone. One sec. I know it's Kim Jung-gi US. Yeah, his name comes up immediately, but for some reason on desktop, it's like weird. Yeah, he's verified. I don't know why that didn't come up first. So, like, Kim Jung-gi will be doing crazy perspectives. Like, this isn't even as crazy as he can go, and I need to be careful, actually, because some of this stuff might not be YouTube safe. Where's his, like, really clear drawings? Like, this is a pretty crazy pose, and you know he barely looked at reference to do this. Like, look at these different Spider-Man he drew, right? He does some pretty intense stuff. Please don't let anything really bad come up. Like, look at these tigers, right? He would just sit there and do all this from memory. Look at this, like, this perspective of looking at the whole room here and what, oh, that's bad. That's the good thing about his work is, like, even though it can be really grotesque, it takes you a while to see it. So I think I'll be fine. But you guys get the idea. So if I go to, like, Stanley Lau, this is what he'll be doing at, like, conventions. He'll, like, sit there and do specific poses and face angles that he's just memorized, and he'll just sit there and do it perfectly, right? So that's one way you can kind of skip through, and you can just skip the really hard perspectives. And you can tell, like, he knows his anatomy super well. Like, he does a lot of, like, super powerful women in Marvel and DC character universes, and you can see he just is always showing off those different striations and details. Or it's just, like, really, like, this one was sick. He does some really, really crazy detail sometimes. Like this one. Look at the shoulders. He goes in, like, super detailed with that super tight outfit. Like here too. But he doesn't necessarily memorize, like, he'll have, like, memorized certain poses that he's really good at. I know for a fact, like, I've watched him since, like, his live stream since, what was it, 2013, 14, 15, and he does this pose with the shoulders and the neck, the collar, the clavicles a lot. Like, he's really good at this profile with the face about 60 degrees. He's really, really good at this part right here, right? And he's done that a lot, and you don't see him doing crazy different perspectives all the time. Another one, who's another example? Yes, Chrissy Zulo. I love her work, very stylized as well. But look how, like, the faces are almost always 15 to 30 degrees. Like, almost, these are all 15 degrees or head on. Head on, head on, head on. About 15 degrees rotated. 15 to 30 degrees. 30 degrees, 30 degrees. 30 degrees, that's like, yeah, that's 30, a little close to 45, but it's like the same face, not from above, not from below. I'm not saying she has same face syndrome, but the same angle, right? And you can see she does that, and she's hella successful, right? What's her, like, I can't, like, quantify this because I don't know her that well, but I can tell you she's super successful. And somebody that I've looked up to since I've started a lot of my journey when I was focusing on faces and stuff. But look, they're all straight and head on, really good figures, you know, very simplified anatomy, but she can draw hands down to the toes whenever. I'm sure has some stuff like that, right? In the poses that she wants. And she doesn't do anything super crazy complex. It's usually like this one is, okay, this one has some interesting perspective going on here, right? But you can see it's not that much. So you can just focus on these things and get really good at them, like a body straight, slightly rotated, and you can still make a really, really insane amount of progress and learn a lot faster. So this is just one example of tons of artists that do this well. I'm going to show you another one, Anna Kaddish. Now she's hands down extremely successful, right? She's been at this for a while, and you can see her characters are really, really stylized, right? A lot less detail, but she'll still throw some anatomy in there. Like, look at this one. There's not that much here, right? Nothing super crazy. And even if she does do some more impressive, like, perspective stuff, because her style is pretty simplified, it really helps. And that's why I was saying earlier, you know, you can look at people's style as a way to simplify things if you're getting a good feel for that early on. Some of us can't do that because we have to, like, you know, go on a more eventful, more big adventure to discover our own style. But the people who found it out kind of early, they can kind of hone in on that and appearingly have really, really good anatomy sense early on. So that's another way you can kind of speed through this. And let's see, yeah, that was the last thing I kind of slipped into here. So stylistic choice, having a minimal anatomic understanding, or just like a medium anatomic understanding, and you can get a really, really good effect here. Daisuke Richard, he's another example. So he does actually really intense perspectives. I would argue that he actually looks at reference for a lot of these. I don't know, but I would say that he probably has reference. But even if he didn't, look at how, like, simplified some of the stuff is, right? Like that foot, you don't need to know foot anatomy to draw that, right? You just need to have like a shoe in mind or a reference. And look at the leg. He clearly knows about, you know, there's calf muscles here, then there's not that many muscles that are bulging out around the knee. It's not that crazy knowledge, but the perspective, he's able to clearly break things down into shapes and then put them in the correct perspective. So like this, right? This is exactly how I would block out the legs if I wanted to do, you know, you can fit all the muscles here in this shape. He knows the shape really well, but you don't have to know it perfectly. It's just the really clear understanding of perspective here. It's very easy for me to imagine all of the rest of the muscles and the different creases in the skin here because he got the perspective down so well. So this is an example of how you can really focus on that perspective and not have to do so much of the detailed anatomy knowledge, and you can still get some really, really cool work done. Like, you can tell he knows his perspective because of this stuff. This architectural stuff is really cool. Who else? I think that's it for like the stylistic people. So one of the people that I'm studying, that I'm going to go into with the kind of the, I guess, demo for this, as I not end the stream, but just go into the second part of the stream, is going to be J.W. Cooper. This is a little risky. Some of her stuff is a little spicy, but we'll see. So let me skip through here and see if I can find something that's not that bad. Okay, this one. Oh, no, there's a nipple there. Come on. Let's look at her animals. Okay, here. So like looking at how she breaks down, I can't point out anything because I literally like know no anatomy for animals, but you can see, I remember watching one of her live streams, is what she'll do is she'll do a strong line for some of the anatomy as she's drawing, and then she'll show like knowledge of like, okay, this is fur here, or a little bit of a detail of how this part of the joint works, and then it'll be another straight line, right? So you'll see lines and then detail and then lines, and then they stop and come back to detail several times. Let's scroll down more. Let's see if I can't find anything that's more. Here's another example here, right? This is extremely stylized, like a skeletal drawing of an arm there. She's really, really good at animals, so that's why I mentioned her earlier. She's gotten really good at drawing tigers. And so this is all an example of like, this is a kind of what I would consider a higher level of breaking down that stylistic choice, so you don't have to know all the anatomy, but it's still done in a way where it looks like she knows exactly, like she's showing all, all the anatomy knowledge you could show outside of just being hyper realistic. But what I just personally love about her work is how she's able to do so much of this with just line work, which is what I really am into because I love drawing for the most part. So yeah, hopefully that helps you guys out with ways to skip ahead and make this easier on yourself. Definitely recommend that you try all this stuff while you're going through it, because I feel like nobody's going to go through just pure. They're not going to be a Puritan. You're going to go through it, and you're going to find that you care more about some things and care less about others, and your journey is just going to go up and down, different avenues, different ways you're going to go around the block. And like I said earlier, you start out with something that's really, really empty, and then you'll eventually start to get a darker and darker gradient going through, right? And that process will take some time. It's different for everybody. Don't worry about how long it takes you. Just focus on improving every day and listening to yourself as you start to get that ability for artistic intuition and being able to self-guide yourself and take control of your learning. Because something that I also don't know if I mentioned too clearly in the video was you want to be able to get a good idea of yourself as an artist and take control of your education. You can't, I know some people have already asked me, you can't just say, how do I know when I need to move on to this level, to this level, to this? You have to get to the point where you just know, and you'll feel that, and you just move it. You just start to let yourself do what you need to do. A better question to ask people would be okay, how many drawings do you think maybe I should do of this before I get a proficiency and really solid understanding? Or how many months do you think would be a minimum time for this or something? That would be better. But how do I personally know when to move from X level to this? You have to be able to figure that out yourself. The only people who get to a good, working level where they're able to produce things regularly and make it a living for themselves know how to do things on their own. So that needs to be part of your study. That needs to be part of what you're working towards, is that self-awareness. You can't have someone hold your hand the whole time. You have to pretty quickly learn how to figure it out on your own, because that's how you learn, and that level of learning is going to be key. Trust me, very, very few art schools are just going to take you from zero to hero. I don't think any of them will. People are always talking, I just keep hearing about, at least Ahmed Al-Duri. I know he's talked about teaching at Art Center a lot, and I've watched a lot of his live streams, and he's always oh yeah, it's different now, or whatever. So even that school is revered as the best or whatever. Or, sorry, I keep saying, did I say Art Center? Yeah. So I was oh, I wasn't thinking about going to art school, but I remember those days when I was listening to his streams, I was oh, okay, I guess it wouldn't be that great if I went there now. So just saying that so that hey, you have to make it, you have to figure the journey out on your own. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me talking. This is that was a little sample of something I'm doing, but I can't show you more because it's a little NSFW. You can see a little bit of it here. But I'm just gonna go into doing a demo, and before that I'm just gonna check out the chat. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I hope this was super helpful for you guys. And please leave comments in the comments if you want me to answer something after the stream. And the music is from Final Fantasy 15, if you're wondering. It's called Golden K. You think you're so big, you think you're so tough. That's awesome to hear, Camille. By the way, this was the drawing I was looking at was Camille's Draw This in Your Style challenge. If you want to check it out, this was a really fun character to do. No problem, Sonica. And thank you, Juan. You can always count on this channel to help. Nice. I don't know what that means, Howie. Tambien te amamos, but I think it's a good thing, right? Yes, you will be able to rewatch it with everything showing. You'll be able to rewatch the stream on YouTube, even if you're on Twitch. You can just check it out on YouTube. I forgot, I really want to turn my VODs back on. I need to turn them back on. Unfortunately, I didn't remember. Hey, Jennifer, you didn't realize it was a lie? That's funny. That's really interesting. I've been wondering like how to make this work better. Because I want to do more streams like this, so I'm kind of like limiting how I do other streams. I will be streaming more during the week, but it's going to be probably, you'll see. It's like, it will be public, but some won't be public. They'll be for like members and stuff, but I like the kind of like more targeted streams like this if I can keep it up, because there are ideas that I have that I want to just talk about and tell you guys, but I don't have the energy to just put it in a whole video. So streaming it first can be like perfect. I just have to make these streams, unfortunately. They can't be like 4 hours, or else people will be like, nah, I'm not gonna watch that. Thank you, Alistair. You said awesome perspective. Yeah, I'm just sharing my journey. You know, it's not the ultimate end all be all, even though I say it is the ultimate challenge, because it helped me out. This is what I've learned, and I came from, you know, not anything, no special art training or anything. Is it okay if you draw in pink? Yes, you can, Dunkzilla. I just have 10% loyalties that you have to pay me for every pink drawing that you sell. So, you know, I've copyrighted that specific shade of pink. Just got the Anatomy for Sculptors I recommended. Your mind blew at the first page. So many stuff to learn. Yeah, there is a lot. And it's a really good book, because I think I just got another book. I'm worried to show you guys because it's not that great, but I still want to show you. I got this book, and I know I don't regret it, but it doesn't have nearly as much stuff useful for 2D artists in it. There's only, I'd say, only about half the book is worth even looking at if you want to draw stuff, and then some of it's just not as useful. But one thing in it, for example, that I'll show you that I really like about this book, and the book, the reason why it's not that great for us is because it's geared towards people who are going to sculpt these things in 3D. But the diagrams are all 3D, and this is just so much, like this one, for example, is so much clearer, like showing how the muscles are in the leg when it's bending. Like this one, I've never seen like that so clearly demonstrated. Like, look at that, how what happens to the muscles when the toes like curl up like that. And this is all with the intention to help you learn how to model it. This is a scenario I always, okay, I can't show you that page. These legs, like when she's sitting, that's so hard for me usually. Like figuring out where the bulges are when you sit like that. Like, how do I draw hips when the person's sitting? So that was really helpful. I'm like, okay, I don't regret the book. But I definitely recommend Anatomy for Sculptors above that. And for some reason, it seems like it's really expensive for some people, so that really sucks. But there is an ebook version. So, by the way, just want to say that you inspired you to take art seriously. Watching me makes you want to draw. That's awesome. That's part of why I do this, because I knew it would have helped me out a lot if I could have seen stuff like this early. You need to get that Super Nanny Anatomy book. Is that another book? Should I get it? Hold the door. What book is that? Again, I don't really recommend it that much, but it's called Anatomy for 3D Artists, the Essential Guide for CG Professionals. So, take it for what you will. Stonehouse Anatomy? I have not. I rarely actually read books. It's just that book that I knew I had to get, because a lot of the diagrams from Anatomy for Sculptors were on Pinterest. And that's where I get most of my references and study stuff from. You said you're digging my headphones. Thank you. Yeah, I wish I could wear them properly, but when I talk a lot, I don't like having my ears cupped like this. Have I used Blender? Yes, I've used it a little bit for references and trying to figure out lighting. I really like it. It's so simple, and it's so capable. It's Final Fantasy 15 playing in the background. Yep. So I'm gonna start doing some drawing for this, like, as like a demo, but I'm not really gonna pay too much attention to it to be helpful. But hopefully some things come out that are going to be useful for you guys. Let's create a new thing. File new. Figure drawing for all it's worth. Yeah, it's probably good. I literally only have those 2 books. I don't get a lot of books because I find Pinterest is more than enough for my needs for the most part. Let me save this really quick in case like I lose everything today. How do I ensure the perspective I'm going for is how it turns out? Going for the bottom feet, looking up to the head. How do you keep that look without it looking 2D? You have to use 3D shapes and use actually perspective like guidelines if you're really worried about it. Just keep everything in perspective as you go. And you'll get better at catching yourself. But sometimes, you know, I'll work and it'll be like, oh, that's actually not, I started making that flat, because your brain will do that. But you have to just start continually check yourself and see what's going on. It's a process. It will happen where you just mess up and your brain will start flattening stuff because it doesn't understand. Because that's what it understands. It knows flat. Does Photoshop have stabilizer? Yeah. A lot of people get confused about that wording, but it's just smoothing the stroke, and it's right here. The setting right here that says smoothing at the top, it's at 10% for me right now. Depending on the brush and the body part that I'm drawing, I change it. And if I'm inking or... yeah, it's always changing. But usually the lowest I have it on is 10. I have pretty shaky hands, and I just feel like drawing digitally in general, you do require some smoothing help because these screens are just slippery and you get less information sent to your brain as you draw, so it's just harder. When you're drawing with a real pencil on a sheet of paper, there's all kinds of different things like the depth, the friction of the paper, how hard and how far into the paper your pencil tip is going into, so you don't really need like smoothing in real life. But in digital, it's much harder to draw like smooth, consistent strokes. Why did I switch? So a lot of people ask this question. Well, I have like 2 answers. The first answer is just straight up answering what you asked. And it's because since I upload a lot more, I draw a lot more and I upload that stuff to Patreon, and it's just so much easier to work in Photoshop where I can save everything on the cloud and then export them in bulk as Photoshop documents and then just upload it to Patreon. And if I want to post something on Instagram, I just export it, I just save it. I go to my iPad, I open up Photoshop on my iPad, export it to Procreate, add some finishing touches, export it to my phone through AirDrop, and I can upload it to Instagram super fast. If I were to work in CSP, I have to save it to my desktop, upload it to Google Drive, go to my phone, download it back to my phone, and then it's just so much more work. So that's the main reason I kind of switched. But otherwise, it's just because I wanted to get used to it both. A lot of people ask me a similar question for like what is it, iPad versus the the Cintiq. And the thing is, they're coming from a place where they only have money or something for one, and they're trying to find the best. But the reality is they're both good enough for what you want to do. That you just need to get one and learn it. There's a reason to use both, because one is mobile and one isn't. You know, that's more than enough reason to have both. So don't compare yourself to me. Just think, okay, what's going to be good for you, right? Don't ask me to tell you the best iPad or Cintiq, because for me, I like both. I can have both. There's use for both. If you only have one that you can get, think about your own scenario, what your limitations are, and just do that. See ya, Jesse. My thoughts on photorealistic illustration. I used to do that a lot. I think it's just depending on what you want to do. I'm not as interested in that stuff anymore. I've never really heard anyone defend the position, though, that it's not creative. So I wish I knew what the benefits were, but that's really my biggest critique of that. It's like, it tends to be really boring and not that interesting. But I want to hear what somebody who only does super realistic stuff has to say, because I used to do that all the time. And I didn't switch because I was like, oh, they're right, this isn't creative. I just was like, wow, I love this stylized stuff. It's easier and it's more rewarding. And I said it's easier simply because it's like, it takes less time. Because realistic stuff takes forever. Have I ever thought about making a book? Yes. So like right now, the sketches that I've been doing recently, I'm like, ooh, can't wait to like release some Ergo pink sketches, like a sketchbook one day. Or just an art book. But that's it. I'm not gonna do like a teaching book or something. I get canceled. Be like, how can this person make a teaching book? I'm just kidding. I know I wouldn't get canceled. But I'm just not interested in it. I'm drawing on a 32-inch Cintiq right now. Oh, stop, you wouldn't get... Animation? Yes, I've always thought of it, but it just takes too long. I wouldn't enjoy it. Maybe one day when it doesn't take as long. That's the same thing about like 3D modeling. I'm waiting for it to be easier. Right now, I honestly see 3D modeling as like is in its infancy phase. It requires a ridiculous amount of technical knowledge just to model anything that I could draw with just raw experience. It requires so much technical knowledge. You have to learn how to use so many different tools, so many different programs to just create a textured, rendered, colored version of a character with clothes. You have to learn so much just to do that. And I feel like you already have to learn so much about colors and gesture and character design and all that stuff. There's so much to learn. And I feel like that should be what you're spending your time doing, not all the technical stuff. Like, we're making a lot of progress, but I'm still not satisfied. So I'm not really focusing on learning 3D programs just yet. Yeah, this is tricky to do. I usually don't draw on stream like this and look at chat, so it's gonna be a little bit of a bumpy ride. So bear with me here. Toon Boom? No. Like I said, I haven't really animated that stuff. It takes too long. But yeah, I think that's also, that goes to show itself. A lot of people are into anime, like a lot of people are always asking questions about animation and 3D because it's so hard. It requires so much like secret knowledge from the people who can do it. But digital art, there's so much information out there. I think eventually, a lot of people are always talking about like, oh, one day we're gonna be replaced by robots, and like, way before that happens, robots are gonna replace all the tedious crap of like texturing and retopo and all that stuff, and you'll be able to model the character and design it in an intuitive way. Maybe it'll be in VR, and then the computer will just make it good for games and stuff, and we can focus on being creative. Am I using the $4,000 red camera? Oh no, I'm using a Sony A7. What the heck? Oh, okay. I'm using a Sony A7 III with Sigma. What is it? Sigma 35mm lens. So it's not $4,000, but it's about $2,800 worth of camera gear that I'm streaming with right now. But that's because, you know, there's like 1,000 or almost 1,000 people watching at one time, right? That's not something you do when you just start, nor is it necessary, but it's just something that I've done as I've improved, scaled up. Do I think it's better to go to school for animation? It's a better decision than digital art, but I'm not so sure it's worth it. I think you can learn just as much going to smaller courses and different things like that. Like, not courses, but yeah, this is a tough pose to do without me being focused. But like, you know, you can go to smaller things to get education and get education from individuals. I'm gonna try one more time and then I'll do my backup drawing. Try a different approach by going super detailed first. What headphones do I have? I can't remember the name. I'm covering the box. It's like the Meze 99 Classics, M-E-Z-E 99 Classics, I think it's called. Thanks for the host, eh? Oh, Lord. This head shape is looking a little whack. Oh, you hosted me 10 minutes ago? Thanks, Spiritless Wolf. I thought Tay said that. I'm like, I don't know why the delay is so much. What glasses am I wearing? I don't know what the name is, but they're by Prada. And that sounds like really fancy, but honestly, it's just one of the things I picked from those like online glasses retailer things where you can just send your type in your prescription and then they'll make the lenses for you and you can get them delivered. I might do another one. This pose is one of those ones. I feel it's difficult for me, extra difficult because it has a lot of gesture to it, but the body is there's like little perspective on it. It's very subtle, so it requires probably some more focus than I'm able to give right now on the stream. What's better for the head? I would say a box, because I'm always for things that give you, help you make decisions. This is something that's in Ethan Becker's like content as well. Like using random oval shapes for stuff is just not very helpful. And it's what a lot of like art books you'll find in libraries and schools teach you, which is really bad. It's just not, you're not able to make decisions. You want to be able to say this is the left side of this or this is the right side of this, not just draw a blob, right? That way you can think in perspective, but a lot of art books and stuff, they don't teach you that. They're just like, here's how to draw it easy. But if you can't think about stuff in perspective, you'll never get it right. What's taken the most practice for me to get down anatomically? There's still a lot of stuff I haven't gotten down, but I think the thing that takes the most practice for me is I think it's just the hips. The hips are the only thing I can consistently just get wrong or get stuck at. Yo, thanks for the donation, Alexis Fowler. Just want to thank you for helping my digital art super dramatically. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, usually when I draw on stream like this, I put a timer for when I'm gonna pay attention to chat. So that people know to expect that I won't be able to engage as much. My figure drawings are pretty good. Thanks, Daigu. Or Daigi. How many levels are there? There are 9 sticky art. You should check out my latest video. People really like it. It's good. Don't skip it, and you're recommended. Nobody skip my video. Hi, Shay. This was indie recommended, meaning you've not seen my channel before. Awesome. What I usually do in my videos, I just give help with art, give art tips, art tutorial videos sometimes. Sometimes I do reviews. Whatever I'm learning, I try to share what I've learned with my audience and create environment, at least with my live streams, where other people are encouraged to work on their art. And of course, a lot of inspiring and motivational content as well, because I know it can be very tough to keep on track on this perilous journey. Yes, I was thinking of that, but I'm like, I should probably chill from D2ISs for a while, but I don't know. Why I say DT? Draw this in your styles. I don't even think that's how it's spelled. I don't really finish stuff right now, Taste years, so I can't really give you that time information. A lot of people ask me that, but I'm not. That's why I said I'm between levels 5 and 6. I'm not somebody who consistently does like this certain finished art quality of stuff, and I can give you that time. Most of what I do is experimenting, learning, sketching, stuff like that. Everything I do doesn't just become into some fully rendered thing. It's almost always by surprise. I'm like, oh, I'll take this further. And then there's a lot of experimenting. Things can easily take tens of hours. And I don't keep track of it for that same reason. Proportions for this are weird. Am I going to do a video on character design? No. I do not think I'd be a good person for character design because I don't design characters. You should check out the video for character design that is on Proko's channel by Knight, aka Aruseli. I think that was a really fantastic video. Is it okay to only draw sketches? You've been punching yourself down. Yeah, it's fine. Don't really worry yourself too much with what people say you should do with art. It's really hard to get over that, but it's a really big waste of time. Just focus on what you want to do, right? Anything that you do because other people are making you, forcing you to do is probably not going to end up very good anyway. This is weird. I don't like both of these things. This stream is definitely affecting my performance big time today. Which is weird because it hasn't been lately. I actually think the other one is better. But we'll see. Oh wow, it's not even been an hour yet. That was a really quick quote-unquote video. Hey Calypsy, I'm doing great. You're loving the motion of my figures lately. Thank you. I have really been getting into it. Studying a lot of artists who I really love. The flow that they have in their line work. I would continue what I've been working on earlier today, but a lot of it's just reserved for Patreon, if you know what I mean. So I can't show it here. This is also extra tough because I can't see her feet in the rough. You purchased my brushes and you totally love them. Thank you. You know? Can I make a video on my line work? Maybe. Maybe. Because I don't even know what I'd do, right? It's not really something that people ask me about. Thank you, John Attacker. Like the video I did recently is because a lot of people were asking me like, how do you learn anatomy? And then also it's something that I actually was studying. So it's like, okay, seems like I should just make a video on this. What's a Bob Ross styled stream? Someone said I should make Bob Ross styled streams more. I'm on a display tablet right now. That's why I'm looking like down. I'm doing good, thank you, Erham. What would those be like? Oh, sorry, I don't even know what you're referring to. I should have millions of subs, lol. Nah. It takes a while to get to a lot of subs without Bob Ross style streams. Yeah, I don't even know. It takes a while to get to that many subs unless you're doing really, you know, entertaining content. My content is still very educational for the most part. You gotta really master that blend of entertainment and education to grow fast. This one's starting to look better now. Yeah, I need to update the stuff on my Patreon. It's kind of crazy how, even though it was only a short time ago, my work has improved so much more. Have I tried Clip Studio Paint? Yes. Alright, I timed out Streamlabs, but it takes a while for it to go into effect. But all the messages will disappear soon. Hey Michelle, how are you? By the way, can we get a shout out if we haven't for Michelle and Calypsy? They are fantastic streamers that I really enjoy watching. And fantastic artists as well. Combined, that makes fantastic art streamers. Yay! Third time's the charm. You used to use graphite and acrylics. You started with digital. You're too lost. Which should you master Photoshop? Should you master in Photoshop? Just focus on the fundamentals. Don't worry too much about the software. Just get software that works. If you have Photoshop, that's solid. You know you don't have to worry about, like, if it's good or not. Hey Josh, would you say it's hard to get hired by studios if you do in a more cartoony style? I am not the best person to ask that. I'm not interested in getting hired by studios or never thought about that. My first inclination for that is if you're worried about that, all you have to do is look at the type of content that the studios make that you want to get into. You know? The way her leg is really tricky. Can I show the ref I'm working from? Yeah. This is one of my favorite models on... I've shown her before, but let me just write down the name on Instagram. That way I can give her some cred. Oh, nice. She changed her name. Yeah, this is her name on IG. I wonder how she got Mary Cake. Huh. It used to be Mary Cakes with like underscores and stuff, I'm pretty sure. Have any well-known studios? No. Your boy's still improving. I haven't done any professional work. I've not been contacted for any professional work at all. It's a pretty big luxury. Like, you know you're good when you're getting contacted without doing any outreach. That's really hard to be in a place like that without having done any work. You can get there if you have some experience out there, but you know, that's usually how it goes. You do some work for people and then you get experience and your name gets around. And then eventually you get to the point where you just work with the clients that you want to. Do I have a portfolio? No. I actually really should make one soon. But it's gonna take me a while. Because I have to actually be happy with the artwork that I have. But honestly, I don't think I'd make one actually, because it would be my website. My portfolio would be my website. I don't think I would make a traditional portfolio. Yeah, getting your foot in the door, yep, definitely the toughest part. It's very easy with anything. Once you have some amount of something, you can do more. You can scale it up, as we say, in the entrepreneur sphere of things. I knew when I made my first $300 online with my brushes and YouTube and all that, I'm like, okay, I can do more. You know, this can be a thing, because $300 is a bill. That was my car bill at the time. I was like, all right, there's no reason why I can't scale this up to 10x. You know. But it's that first actual money hitting your bank account that's actually really hard to get. Requires a lot of work. Can we not do any self-promotion, Fumi? It's your warning. No soliciting or biz promotions, please. It's funny, I guess. I wonder how many people are watching on YouTube. Oh wow, that's actually a lot. I guess this is getting recommended to a few people. A few people here and there. Thanks, Yada. I just got a haircut yesterday. That's great. Josh appears on cam when he gets a haircut. And he's digging it. Have a hand tutorial? Nope. I don't know how to draw hands. And again, I don't know if I would... It's tough. I'd have to have a good idea. A lot of the videos people ask me to do, like, oh, do a hair tutorial, do a hand tutorial. It's like, doing a tutorial like that straight up is just such a terrible video. Such a terrible idea for content. Nobody's gonna watch it. You have to have a good idea now. The days of like saying how to draw hands and making a video like that are gone. Those are like, you'll see those videos, they're like 7 years old. Nobody will watch a video where you just type how to draw whatever. You have to have a really creative idea behind it. You know, like look at Ethan, for example. None of his videos are just how to draw X. He always has a really excellent way to present his ideas in a new way. That's how you actually get views. You might be thinking, oh, how selfish, but it's like, if nobody watches your video, then what's the point? Josh, can I get the guest hand on again one day? Yes, for sure, Meshka Art. True, YouTube can be quite saturated with basic content. Yep, there's so many videos with like 2, 3, 4 million views, like how to draw X, and you will never beat those videos. You have to try a different way. Maybe that era will return, but I doubt it. Anytime soon, at least. You get videos with clickbait, yep. That's really true, Piggy Bird. All these draw different body part videos are all unnecessary. You need to understand that every form is being understood. Yeah, that's pretty true. Like, for example, I've gotten a lot better from drawing hands, by just drawing a lot of hands. I'm not at a place yet where I can like really well explain what I've learned into a video. Most of what you're seeing is simply the result of just practice and having fun with the gesture and studying other artists. Alright, let's bounce back to this one, since I'm really happy with this one on the left. Her pose is really hard because the hardest pose for me to do is when, I think it's probably women in particular, since their pelvis cants like outwards, when they arch their hips in like that. Is it the classic Madonna pose? Like, you guys can't see it, but like this pose, right, where they're thrusting forward. That's hard. That's like the hardest one for me to do. Any pose that involves that. Yes, Queen. Oh man, if you guys could see the full camera. Leona was waiting for a time to strike. It's been good having a late lunch break. It's nice to make it here in chat. Yeah, it's good to see you in chat every now and then. Calypsy. But if it's hard, it wouldn't be that stiff and rich. Yeah, I'm gonna try and scrap this, I think. Let's just cut it and bring it back. Yeah, I'm just gonna do what like this pose is speaking to me and not really copy it. I'll show you the pose, for example. It's very classic boudoir-y type of thing. Yeah, it's a nice pose, but it's very challenging, especially since she's got a decent amount of clothes on. It'd be much easier to see like where her skin is folding. She's also like exceptionally skinny. Just to use positive words, so I don't even think I would see any skin folds that would help me figure out where the joints are for this particular ref. Yeah, let's cut her head off. Sometimes the head is just not helping. Vogue. You mean that Vogue type pose? Wait, was that what I was doing earlier or what I just showed you guys? Currently painting makes you happy, and makes you happy to have someone to art with you. That's awesome to hear, Queen. I'm happy to know that I'm helping you enjoy the joy of painting. How many pencil tips? I've never bought an extra set of Wacom pencil nibs, but I have bought a couple sets of iPad Apple Pencil tips. But I mean, you get one extra when you buy an iPad versus when you buy a Cintiq, when you buy an Apple Pencil, I should say, versus when you buy a Cintiq, you get like 8. So you won't have to buy new ones for a long time. They're the Mies Classics 99, Mies 99 Classic headphones, Handbuster. I believe those are the headphones that I have on. Mies spelled M-E-Z-E. Yep, it is a small BB bearing mecha art. That's why you need to be careful when you're drawing with the Apple Pencil, because if eventually when the tip wears down, there will be metal scratching the screen. So you have to make sure you don't damage your screen by just take a look at your pencil tip every now and then. Or it could damage your Paperlike, which you guys should check out because it makes drawing on an iPad much, much easier. Especially if you're coming from traditional. Which way do I want the pelvis to be going? Yeah, that's better. The Apple Pencil tip will just wear down. There's nothing you should really do to fight that other than having a lighter pencil grip, because that will just make your art usually better and save the lifespan of your hand. When you draw lighter, your hands take less damage. That's just facts. Your body wears down the more you use it, no matter what you do, especially your hands. And when you go to sleep, your body repairs itself. Man-made things don't repair themselves, so that's where the problem is. Lover boy. Hey, wait, did we get a raid? Hayner's raid. Hey, how are you, Hannah? Hope you guys had a good stream. I didn't see that. I need to get a raid notification thing. How long has it been? I'm sorry I missed it. I'm over here illegally streaming. I hope you guys had a great time. Let me see. I want to see this raid notification here on Twitch. I'll just keep Twitch chat open longer instead. But yeah, welcome everybody from Hayner's raid. Yes, thank you for the shout out. Wait, is there a shout out? Yes, somebody did. Thank you. Yes. You will see me in Hannah's stream sometimes. I was actually there recently. Thank you, Loverboy. Yeah, I got a haircut yesterday. Am I a YouTube mechanic? How are you asking, Jennifer? Yeah, raids are on Twitch. Yeah, I wish we could raid on Discord on YouTube. Her shoulder looks really broad. You gotta head out? Okay, cool. Thanks for the raid. And have a great night or whatever time it is wherever you are. Or evening. Most complex pose, I never really finished it, but it was somebody lying upside down on a chair with their legs straddling the chair. And it was at a crazy perspective. It was fun though. Now that I'm making this pose up from memory, it's just really... That ain't right. I'm just being super loose right now. Thanks for the sub, Jay. My favorite pose to draw? I rarely have. The poses that I just typically enjoy are, you know, your typical arched back perspective shot from I think I like slightly below more than slightly above, but to be honest, I just prefer anything that has a little bit more exaggerated perspective. Yeah, this pose still looks really weird. I did something I really shouldn't do on stream, which is just trying to come up with imaginary stuff. This happens pretty regularly. Every now and then I'll just be like, alright, that other thing I did was better. Oh my god. Photoshop, please. I'm using a Wacom Cintiq. Wacom. Yeah, that pose I was doing was just too much. For my limited visual library. Now she built like a Disney mom. Maybe it's just not bad without the legs, since I'm trying to make the legs up. Wacom. Yeah, that's correct, Mecha Art. Because it's Japanese. That's a fun fact if you didn't know. Wacom is a Japanese company. Most of the other tablet companies are Chinese. There's no American ones. There's just other big computer companies. At least I'm pretty sure there aren't any American brands. Have I played any Dark Souls games? Yes, I love Dark Souls. This is from Final Fantasy 15. It's basically a repeated clip from an area in the game called Galden K with a Q. Wait a second. Is that really Reek? Yo! Wait. That is Reek. Can we get a shout out for Reek TV? I love your art, man. That's weird. I would've thought you'd have been like hella verified. I wasn't like, is this a fan account? But yeah, you should check out Reek if you're on YouTube as well. He's got some crazy good skills. He's been at it for a while. Thanks for the sub, Anano. Maybe if I get the face in here. Yep, Reek is one of the channels I watch on YouTube when I was trying to figure out my style and all that a few years ago. Then I had to like just go back and learn the basics. You've been lurking all this time, but super focused. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you just got started streaming on Twitch or something, but yeah, I'm pretty sure you'd have the view count by now, like easy. But yeah, watching Reek do his figures is like just magic. Just watching, it looks like just watching magic happen on screen. It's just like, well, perfect perspective, anatomy, stylized character. Calling my age out. Hey, that was only 3 years ago. I am much younger than I look, you guys. I want her to look hunched over. I'm not giving up on this pose. Could I spare some beard? No. I just got a haircut. It used to be much bigger and wilder. No, I cannot spare anything. You're gonna have to go to the barber and see if there's any beard left. Oh, thank you, Reek. Professional vibes, but by a fake artist. Watch the YouTube video, guys. If you haven't already learned, it's all a scam. The very stream you're watching is a scam. I scammed all of you. Bruh, figure out this pose already. I should just work on the one I got right. Leave my ego to rest to get this right on stream. It's just a video running while I pretend to draw. Yep. I have this professional Chinese artist drawing live. He's my business partner. How long? It usually takes me 30 minutes to get a decent sketch down before I start detailing it. But on stream, it can take me much longer. Just because there's always like this amount of anxiety of like, oh, there's people watching you. Then looking at chat and looking back takes time. So all that stuff can slow me down quite a bit. This isn't terrible anymore, it's just still weird. Yeah, that whole like crunched up fetal position thing, I really need to practice more. It's definitely the hardest pose for me. Was this one even that hard? This one was hard because there wasn't that much negative space and stuff. But I figured it out eventually. making big changes here. If we just rotate this entire part forward and bring our head down. It's actually quite motivational to see the whole process. Yeah, you're definitely seeing a rare process here. It's not particularly fun to see, have people see you struggle and mess up. And that never goes away. I mean, you're always going to be having a higher standard for yourself. I think this is the closest I've gotten to it. Yeah. I don't know why I ended up doing one of the hardest poses I've had to do on stream, but hey. It's a really good ref, which is partially why I force myself to do it, because it's just too good to not, you know, try and get it to look good. Especially with the clothing. She's leaning over. Need to fix that. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm gonna go ahead and change her. Sometimes the features I do just end up looking different, and I just go with it. So I'm just gonna give her, like, I don't know, maybe an 80s African American haircut. I have no idea if this is actually real. If this is a real thing or not. I do not study hairstyles that much, especially time periods. See you, Sarah. Music is from Final Fantasy 15. I'll probably change it for the last few minutes to something that's on my playlist. Yeah, let's do that. I have to restart iTunes. Alright, 1 second. It's gonna be silence for a little bit. It's just you and me. You and me. Welcome to the ASMR portion of the stream. Alright, there we go. Hopefully this... yeah, it's not too loud, right? Boom. Yes, Nightcore, don't worry, in about 30 minutes you'll be able to see the beginning of this video. What made you think it was a video? Was it the thumbnail? The title? Clickbait. Copy strike? No. I have pre-selected this music in a playlist that I can confidently stream. How long have I been drawing for? My whole life, but I got really serious in 2017. May 2017, or no, beginning of the year 2017. I got kind of serious, and I started getting more and more serious until I got very serious around October. Got super serious. All right, let's switch back to Mary Cakes. Uh-oh, don't forget to subscribe. Everybody subscribe. Smash that like button right now. All right. The live notification is different. Yeah. YouTube's been messing with me these days. Oh, thanks for... I don't know if you're in the stream, but somebody signed up to my Patreon. I appreciate it. Thank you. Today I'm going to end the YouTube stream first, because I want to show you guys one thing that I've been working on. One not safe for work thing that I've been working on Twitch. I don't really care about Twitch, because if... I just don't think they're going to do anything. But I know they might flag the stream if I do it on YouTube, so... It's just a little booba. Just a little bit. But even then... Hey Josh, your art tips have helped you so far to finish Bible pitch for an animation contest. Nice. I'm happy it's helped you out. Have I played the Nier games? Yes, I love them. And I love 2B's design. I regularly reference 2B. I can't wait for the newer games. It's a game I'm sad I played already, because the setup I have now is just so much nicer. And I wish I could play it on this setup, but that game is too damn hard for me to play it again. For fun. It's too damn hard. And I hate playing as 9S. I'm sorry. I like playing as 2B and what was it, A1? A1 sauce? A2? Oh, that's good to hear, Melody. I'm glad you think my streams are chill. Hey, Camo the Bear. Any advice for artists who are starting to get out there but scared of the criticism? Don't worry. To be completely honest, the criticism doesn't really come when you're small. People don't really give it to you that much, but like when you get bigger, more people will be more inclined to give you criticism whether you like it or not. So it should grow with you. You should be fine. So just know that in the beginning, no one's really gonna be super like mean about you at all, mean to you. Like for example, a lot of people criticize me like, oh, you don't have any right, like on my video, you don't know anything, your anatomy is shit, you don't know anything, why are you making a video like that? I get comments like that, but I never got those comments when I was between 1 to 10,000 subs. Nobody cared. Nobody thought, it was like whatever. But now, oh, you know. So don't worry, you're not gonna get any painful criticism, hopefully, in the beginning. Just stay out of those toxic art communities out there. There's some really toxic ones. Please stay away from those. I see them on Twitter. I see them on YouTube sometimes. I'm just surprised. I'm like, let them try to get to me one day. I will just laugh. I know I can never get into that crap because it's so silly. Like I could never get caught up in that drama. The drama I see happening, man, it's just so silly. I'm like, you teenagers. Even when I was a teenager, I was like, you teenagers, what are you doing? My sister would be like, look at those teenagers, honestly. We saw ourselves as grown-up adults our whole life. When you get hate, it means you made it, kind of. It's not too far. Yeah, I do want to do another video on that Muse of Discord for building up the head shape, because the one I did on YouTube to start off with is old. It's just not that good. Glad you can make it, I am Solus, but you're a little late. Her nose is bigger than her mouth. That's a problem. And I'm saying that by my drawing, not because of, not for Mary Cakes. One day I want her to like model my merch. I wonder if she'd do it. Gonna have to make a very strong pitch. I have a lot of people on my like list that I hope I could get to like model my merch, but we'll see. Gotta get more clout. More. 1 million subs. Am I no shaming? Do I actually make sure everything has the exact right proportions? I try. No, I go by what looks cool, but also perspective. It needs to be in perspective, and I try to make sure it's correct. It always needs to be in perspective. Free clout. Yes, you are correct. There was some Kingdom Hearts. Twitter cancel. No. Please, Twitter, have mercy. Look at that cranium. Very smart. Hey Josh, you're a senior in school getting ready to graduate. Let's see if this works. Yes, it worked. You're a senior in school getting ready to graduate and you've thought about getting into streaming, the process of your work. Any advice or tips on how to get started? Try to minimize spending a lot of money on gear unless you just have money to blow. But just start, honestly. And try to do it when you're already drawing. Try not to make it a big deal. It's a lot of this stuff is always analysis paralysis. Everybody who wants to do it says they want to do it and they just never do it. Just start. You know. That's the best advice I can give you. Because everybody just doesn't start. Do I use any note-taking apps? Actually, not really, to be honest. Yeah, I agree with you. It's tough to find really good ones. I just use the notepad on iPhone, and I would use something better. if I found something that worked really well. How do I deal with the hecklers when you get backlash from people when you draw women too much? How do you deal with the hecklers? You just have to deal with the haters. A lot of people, you have to have some empathy for them. A lot of people think there should be a lot of shoulds and shouldn'ts and do's and don'ts for things that don't really have those things, or shouldn't have shouldn'ts. Isn't that funny? But you just gotta kind of ignore them, but also try to understand that, they're coming from kind of this place of ignorance. I made a post on this recently on my Instagram. A lot of people can complain about that stuff, but the reality is it doesn't matter, because I'm just one person. Why does what I'm drawing stress you out so much? And I have my whole life to live. Why do I have to draw something right now when I could draw it later? Like, the analogy I made was, I could suddenly become an artist that just does blue pineapples. And I could do that at 63 years old. And all I draw is paint is blue pineapples in oil paint. And people will be like, wow, this guy used to be a digital artist, and now this is what he does. People will be asking me what made me make that radical transition. I'd be old. I'd be like, well, it's this, and this. It's like, with that huge perspective in mind, wouldn't it be silly to think about people asking you, why don't you draw this already? Right? It's just kind of silly when you think about it. It's like, you have your whole life. And there's so many other artists out there. Every artist doesn't have to do the same thing. I was watching a really old, much older artists on YouTube today talk about what advice they would give to younger artists. And there was this one guy, he just paints on folded tapestry and it's hanging on these crazy iconic buildings. And that's all he did, at least for the past several years. Imagine people asking, why don't you paint on a canvas and not fold it up? I'm sure he did other stuff when he was young, but now he's hella old, and that's what he does. Giant folded tapestries. Every artist does something different. There's plenty of artists out there. So try to just, when you know how crazy it is what the hecklers are saying, then it's easier to ignore them. But I do understand it's hard to ignore them. But then you'll just think like, oh, you poor people just don't get it. I feel bad that their mindset for art is so limited that they won't be able to enjoy it as much as they could. Being too self-critical, yes, I deal with that a lot. I've actually had to go through some coaching for that in terms of like ego, because my ego will make it really bad. I think the most important thing I've learned is to stop assigning value judgments to things and accept them for what they are. So there are some things I don't like about myself that when I do it, I'll beat myself up a lot for. And then I just have to realize like, hey, the reason I did that is because I've just learned it was the best thing to do. My brain learned that was the thing I should do to the situation to make me feel better. And I'm in a process to get better, and all I have to do is notice that and just accept that that's what my body does. It's like, it's like you literally have to give yourself the empathy you would give for a aggressive dog. That dog has been through some trauma and is acting out and being aggressive for a certain reason, and you understand that. It's like, all right, you snarled at me, he bit me or whatever if you're rehabilitating this dog, not if it's some random dog. You take care of yourself. But yeah, let's see, like, if that happened, then you would be empathetic. Then you have to be the same thing for yourself. So when you if you ever find yourself like me, giving yourself a hard time too much, you have to think, well, I haven't done this much work yet, or I'm new on my art journey. I have to give myself some space and some credit for the effort I've done. You have to be nice to yourself and respect yourself in that way. And you'll find that every time when you do that, you'll find that every time it comes up again, it's less intense. That's what I found. It doesn't just go away immediately, but it doesn't cripple you anymore. You know. So hopefully that helps. What do you tell artists that consistently don't like their art? Yeah, I think it's just a youthful place to be at. It could be the result of a lot of things, but you have to kind of find why you like art in the first place. Because at the end of the day, you wanted to do art for some reason. Find that again. Find out what's making you upset. Is it expectations? Then start telling yourself, hey, my expectations are wrong. I haven't done this, this, and this. My expectations, I need to lower them, right? And then start focusing on doing the stuff that makes you happy about art. Because it's a very emotional thing. Art is tough. No one does it. It's a very terrible thing to do to get money. It's a very terrible thing to do to build your self-esteem. You gotta love it to do it, right? There are a lot of jobs out there like that. Architecture is one of them. It's tough. You have to love it in order to do it. If you're doing it because you want to get money or praise or accolades, you will always be frustrated. And I won't tell you that you shouldn't be frustrated. You will always end up frustrated. So some people are in that scenario. Some people just need to remember, oh, I don't have to be like everybody on Instagram. I don't have to draw in 10 times speed. Some people just need that reminder. Some people's whole entire fundamental approach to art is wrong in the first place, and that's why they're so frustrated. So it's hard to answer that question for everybody. Some people are stressed because they're not making enough money to feed themselves, and that's why they can't do it. It's like, well, that's a big problem in and of itself. That's why you're frustrated. Hey, Suina. I don't believe I've seen you before. Do you do art? Do you do art streams? I just recognize that verified check mark. Oof, we've gone over time. Okay, I need to stop the stream on YouTube because I don't want people not to click the video because it's too long. Thank you guys so much for coming to the stream, and I will see you in the next one, which will probably be next Friday. All right, bye everybody. Peace on YouTube.